from Cygnus, which was in the golden proportion. Remember, the heart sets up a series of cardiorhythms between the magnetic toroidal fields in the golden proportion, and the cosmic rays coming from Cygnus was in the golden proportion, and this was transduced by the Sun. It actually was measured to change the Sun by the Extremely Low Frequency Radar Group, or elfrad.com, and this was then translated into a solar flare, which was a hydrogen wind, which imbibed in the field of planet Earth. The magnetometer in Norway showed that the Earth magnetic field translated that also into golden proportion, and that set up then and measured 1.618033 hertz global signal, and 1.618 is the golden proportion. This turned out to be genetically active, and it is this genetically active signal that came from Cygnus, which the ancient Turkestan, which the ancient Anatolians, Rigvedic outcrop culture, described that the ultra-terrestrial star gods came from. This cosmic signal suddenly switching on, that then gave the emergence of this light body particle. This light body particle, you could say, is a kind of really a rediscovery of the hadronic mechanisms. So whilst Dan Barish and the military-industrial complex that is supporting him are making this a miracle, and this is gaining, though we don't think that this does have that miraculous quality per se in the way that they want to bring it forth with religious zeal. It's more a rediscovery of hadronic mechanics, and that's important, so that we don't put too much power to the hierarchy of the Church of Science.
Having explored the technicals of the ayahuasca molecules, the somahuasca molecules, and what they imply in the metamorphosis of our neurobiology, let us explore the themes that are very appropriate to this Congress. For a long time there have been whispers of remarkable phenomenon coming from the curanderos of South America. The UFO and star beings are part of the legacy that goes hand in hand with ayahuasca, experientially inside, but also by a large wave of observations of unknown objects over Lima in the last few years, observed and recorded by dozens of cameras and broadcasted by the Peruvian media. Likewise, the curanderos speak of contact with other intelligences that are very much related to the human race and the development of shamanism. The UFO, the unified field object, as the universal and interpersonal entheogenic lens, and hadronic space-time machines and the star atom panacea. This will be the punchline that will caption quite a lot to chew on. The UFO, unified field object. During our work with somahuasca in Scandinavia, Norway, in 1996, the place where we did our somahuasca sessions out in the mountains also received recordings of unidentified flying objects, such as this one, directly over that somahuasca place. Very similar to the Mexican UFO sightings that appeared on the 7/11/1991, following the so-called prophecy of the fifth sun and the return of the rainbow wheels of Quetzalcoatl, or the Quetzalcoatls, the gods that gave the mushrooms to the Mayans as Tionacatl, or the flesh of the gods. The Dharmata, as we call this is in fact a foundation that was discovered by psychedelia. It was Terence McKenna that discovered the permutations of the I Ching that made time wave zero. What we contributed was that we traced this geometry, these permutations of the I Ching, or the DNA codons, into a 3D program and rotated it and rendered it. The result was remarkable. It shows the Mandelbrot fractal, or the stupa, or the shape of the body of Dharma. Therefore we call it Dharmata, based on the ancient Vedic descriptions of these objects, obviously related to the Somapas of the Vedas. So the Dharmata, the time wave zero, rendered into 3 dimensions. However, the Mandelbrot fractal, or Terence's time wave graph outline, is found long before Mandelbrot of IBM in Monk Udo's of Aachen's art. He rendered over 9 years the Mandelbrot fractal by using the 72 demons and 72 angelic archetype principles of the human psyche as his mathematical foundation. In the Vedas, it is 72,000 demons and angels that are activated by sound, shamanic songs with soma and with the soma plants. We also see that this shape can be related to a time machine or starship, such as this apparent Variation 3 beam ship, which is similar to the Townsend Brown starship, the student of Dr. Tesla. Here's a close-up of the Mandelbrot fractal from 1280 Anno Domini, and he called it Divinitas, or the Godhead, and represented it as the Star of Bethlehem. The UFO, a unified field object, follows shamanism around the world. The Rig Veda says the star car of the gods always comes closest to the somapressa. The somapressas are those who make the soma, who juice it from seeds and plants. A student of Da Vinci draws the UFO. If we combine 2 dharmatas together, we see the outline of the George Adamski bell shape, something that seemed impossible to behold by Terence McKenna in his 14th day frenzy in the Colombian Amazon when he discovered time wave zero. He believed he was seeing something absolutely fake. Well, in fact, it is a tracing of the very shape he was rediscovering within the symmetry permutations of the I Ching. The Dharmata as a map of time to 2012, 2012 as the center point of kissing times, of multi-times, of different universes converging in this paradigm. The Dharmata is here described, or Divinitas, but after Monk Udo, Da Vinci also beat Mandelbrot to the Mandelbrot fractal, obviously having the same source as Monk Udo. In the Leicester Codex we see the Mandelbrot fractal of Leonardo da Vinci. We found it interesting then that in 2004, when the Cassini probe discovered a new radiation belt on Saturn, that when you combine both the old and new radiation belt on Saturn, the planet of time, and mirror them, the result is the shape, symmetry, outline of time. So the planet of time, Kronos or Saturn, which has lost some minutes of time, 7 minutes of time according to the BBC in 2006 in its radio rotation, suddenly has a new radiation belt which gives together a mirror symmetry of the Dharmata, or the so-called fractality of time, the time wave zero novelty theory of Terence McKenna, discovered through ayahuasca.